in the air. Watch out, I think you better watch out. There's a rumble of war in the air. And with a man like that, you never know where or when. He's gone and sent in the Marines again. Some are small and frightened, some were seasoned men. Some are rightly scared to death, and some are feeling the joy of seeing blood again. I think you better watch out. Watch out. There's a rumble of war in the air. Watch out. I think you better watch out. There's a rumble of war in the air. And with a man like that, you never know where or when. He's gone and sent in the Marines again. Casualties seldom counted are the ones, the guns in vain. The ones who work the land, the ones who love the land, the ones who work the land, the ones who love the land, the ones who work the land, the ones who love the land, where dreams of peace are made. I think you better watch out. Watch out. There's a rumble of war in the air. Watch out. I think you better watch out. There's a rumble of war in the air. And with a man like that, you never know where or when. He's gone and sent in the Marines again. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out.
Hello, we're Raised Voices and our conductor, Jake Alexander. We've just... Is it on? Sorry, we're Raised Voices, an activist choir. That song was Watch Out, which, when I can find my notes, I'll tell you, sorry. It's written by Holly Near in 1984, during the time when Ronald Reagan was president, and he ordered a massive defence build-up. The song is particularly relevant now in these precarious times when many nations that have nuclear weapons are waging war. We need to remain alert to the possibility of any of these conflicts turning nuclear. So that song is a good reminder. Our next song, Break the Nuclear Chain, is about us all working together towards a non-nuclear world. It is around, so do join in if you would like to. You can sing with this group at the end here, and to help you, they are holding up the lines of each song. There are just 4 lines, so they hold those for you to join in with if you would like to. Thank you.
Stand up, people, make your choice. Create a world without nuclear threat. For together we are strong. Break the nuclear chain.
so much to our choir, raised voices. Round of applause, please. Welcome to CND's. I can shout as well, so please let me know if you can hear me at the back, but also let's claim the space. Please do shuffle forwards a little bit. I know that there's quite a lot of cameras here at the front, but please do shuffle in as much as you can. Meanwhile, someone will fiddle with volumes and hopefully that will help. Welcome to CND's, London CND's annual event. My name is Hannah Kemp-Welsh and I am the Vice Chair of the London CND branch.
And I'm Jessica Freeman. I'm the editor of London CND's monthly newsletter, Peaceline.
I am going to begin with a couple of housekeeping announcements. So you can find the programme for this event online on the London CND website. Just type London CND Hiroshima 2025 into Google and it will come up. There's a few printed copies floating around. Please ask Daniel here in the checkered shirt if he has any left, if you would like one. We are, as you can see, going to be documenting this event in many different ways. If you would like to not appear in any photographs, please tell one of these many people with cameras, or also Podrick here, who is taking photographs on behalf of National CND and Daniel on London CND's behalf. It's very hot. If you need some water, we do have some over here by the CND stand, so please do come and ask for some rather than dehydrating quietly.
We're here to commemorate the 6th of August 1945, when the US dropped an atomic bomb on a civilian population for the first time. An estimated 140,000 people were killed in Hiroshima. In the years that followed, many of the survivors would face leukemia, cancer, or other terrible side effects from the radiation. 3 days later, the US dropped a second bomb on Nagasaki, killing 74,000. Across both cities, it's estimated that 38,000 of the casualties were children. Both cities were obliterated. This is the 80th anniversary of these horrific events. Today, we remember the people whose lives were taken or forever changed by this evil act, and we renew our commitment to campaigning for nuclear disarmament.
Thank you, Jessica. Our programme today includes speeches and cultural contributions, and I'm delighted to introduce Councillor Eddie Hansen, the current Mayor of Camden, who will give the opening address. Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you, Anna. Hi, everyone. As I've been introduced, I'm Councillor Eddie Hansen. I'm the Mayor of this great borough of Camden. I believe I'm one of the few mayors that have got a background, a war background. You know, because I was born in Sierra Leone, and I came just after the war. You know, but today we're here to commemorate all those who died in the bombing of Hiroshima 8 years ago. To today, and victims of war everywhere. As has been mentioned, today, the 6th of August 2025, is the 80th anniversary of the atomic bombing of the Japanese city of Hiroshima. Hundreds of thousands of people died, many instantaneously, others soon after from burns and shock, and yet more from the impact of radiation in the months and years that followed. Flowering cherry tree was planted in memory of the Hiroshima victims on 6 August 1967 by Councillor Billy Miller, Imam, former mayor of Camden. It has since been tradition for the mayor of Camden to lay a wreath at the tree on Hiroshima Day annually, and I'm glad I'm here today. Many people, yeah, sure, we'll do. Many people picture cherry blossoms when they think of Japan. The custom of anami cherry blossom viewing parties is practiced across Japan during spring. In Hiroshima and Nagasaki, hundreds of cherry blossom trees were planted in peace parks established in the decade after the atomic bombs destroyed the two cities. Cherry blossoms are therefore a symbol of peace and hope. Out of devastation, new life and beauty can grow if it is respected and nurtured as the cherry blossom trees in those cities are today. Tavistock Square has come to be known as the Peace Garden due to the numbers of trees, statues, and monuments it holds dedicated to the pursuit of peaceful initiatives. Unfortunately, earlier this summer, the cherry tree grew sick and needed to be chopped down. Today, we are planting a new tree of the same variety. You can see the tree over there. I think that they have a big round of applause. Continuing our commemoration of the victims of the nuclear bomb in Hiroshima. Thank you all for having me. Today we remember the victims of war everywhere.
Thank you very much. We're very pleased to welcome Bernard Miller, son of Millie Miller, then Mayor of Camden, who planted the original tree in 1967. Bernard will share a short history of the tree. Millie Miller also compared this commemoration each year from 1967 until her death in 1977, and Bernard has done so himself perhaps 15 times over the intervening years. Welcome, Bernard.
Thank you, Hannah. Friends, I'd like to start by thanking the Mayor, Eddie Hansen, for maintaining this really important link. All mayors since 1967, when this was the first commemorative event in this country, have come and laid a wreath and spoken at this event, and that's really important. But I'd like to go back 10 years before that, because at that point my mum was Mayor of Stoke Newington. She was one of the mayors and religious leaders across the country who organised peace conferences that led to the founding in 1958 of CND. And mayors get invited to officiate at things. They're asked to open, close, speak at, plant, dig up, and so on. But this was not something my mum was invited to. It was her initiative, and had been for several years, to get a memorial. And it was done with a woman called Moira Gaster, who was then Secretary of Hampstead CND, and in memory of whom the tree behind me is planted. So it is continuous. But over the years, we have had every kind of speaker, every kind of participant. We've had religions from A to Z, from agnostics and atheists to Zoroastrians and Zen Buddhists. We've had poets and potters and painters and philosophers and, of course, politicians. We had the two previous members of Parliament for the area that is this constituency, Lena Jager and Frank Dobson. And Frank corrected me some years ago when I said I looked forward to the day when we wouldn't need to have this event because there would have been disarmament. And he said, that's wrong. We will always need this event to remind people of the hundreds of thousands who've died, of the threat, and of the need to make sure there are no nuclear weapons. We've had politicians from all parties, including Conservative mayors and even some individual Conservative members. We have had teachers and technicians and therapists. We've had gay and lesbian CND groups. We've had people with disabilities. We have had some fantastic speakers. Our youngest, I think, was 8 years old, who spoke at the same time as my friend Rose Hacker, who was then 102. And David Polden, who then organized the event, I had asked him to invite Rose after her 100th birthday to avoid the problem we'd had in the past with people like Fenner Brockway, who came and spoke at the age of 99 and then went off and died and didn't make it to 100. So Rose spoke until she was 102 each year, but she was then followed by my friend Hetty Bauer, who spoke until she was 108, and for people who want to see her, I have put on YouTube a video of her sitting more or less where I am now, singing the H-Bomb's Thunder, and I was with her when she died at the age of 108, and her last words were "Ban the bomb forevermore," the closing line of H-Bomb's Thunder. There are so many people I could name, but there isn't time, and I'm not going to go into that, but I do want to say that my links with the tree, and I've only been to, I think, 50 of the 58 events here, my links are personal as well as political and propagandistic, if I can put it like that. I didn't know until about 6 weeks before she died that my mum had been fighting cancer and a life expectancy of 6 months for over 30 years. And by the time I was born, that had been reduced to 3 months. I didn't know, because she never talked about it until she chose to tell me 6 weeks before her death, that she had lost a lot of her family in the Holocaust. That was the Nazis' genocide. Now we have another genocide, or more genocides to deal with. I discovered subsequently through genealogy she lost about 80% of her family, and I never knew. And I think she never knew what I discovered. 2 of her relatives were killed by Zionists. One, a Zionist in 1924 called Otto Israel Hahn, and one, Volker Bernadotte, in 1948, a man who'd saved 20,000 Jews from the concentration camps, both of them for promoting peace with Palestinians. So I consider it my duty to promote peace and justice with and for Palestinians. But I'm going to end with a very personal recollection. 3 weeks before she died, Millie gave her last public talk. It was in a building on Ensley Gardens just behind me. And I knew that she was going out to give a talk, and I got a phone call. And she said, "Bernard, can you come and collect me? I'm not well enough to drive home. I will be sitting under my cherry tree." So I came down and I collected her. And as we were heading home, I said, "What was the meeting?" And she told me. And I said, "How did it go?" And she said something I had never heard her say before. She said, "I think it was the best speech I've ever given." And I said, "What was it about?" She said it was to a Jewish women's group called the League of Jewish Women, who met in a building on Ensley Gardens called Hillel House. And in that speech, I told them that if they did not work for peace and justice for Palestinians, although they then just called them Arabs and Israeli Arabs, they weren't using the word Palestinian that much. If they did not work for peace and justice for Palestinians, Israel would be committing suicide. That was 3 weeks after the first right-wing Israeli government was elected. So I consider it my duty, as far as I can, to carry on that campaign, to carry on with the message of CND and banning the use and the holding of nuclear weapons. I was upset when the original tree was decided to be felled because it was infected, but 4 branches had fallen off and they could have killed somebody, as a tree did in Chalkwell only a couple of months earlier. And I've now reconciled myself. This is part of the cycle of life and renewal. And that tree that we are going to officially plant today, although it's already there, has to become a new symbol of CND and the campaign for nuclear disarmament in Camden. And just one last word on the old tree. I used to come down here in April and take pictures of it in bloom. It was magnificent. And I've been using that picture as my background in Zoom meetings for about 4 or 5 years, and I call it my family tree. So I hope I'm going to get new family from new people here and a new family tree from the tree that's being planted today. And I wish everybody courage and strength to fight for peace for the future, because we need it now more than ever before. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernard, for your beautiful recounting of the history of this important event, and thank you for your commitment to our cause. Now, we will plant the tree, and wreaths will be laid by the Mayor of Camden and Phil Sedler on behalf of London CND. For those who wish to do so, please feel free to use the spades located next to the tree to lay some soil on top of it. Following this, Reverend Nagasaki of the London Peace Pagoda will lead us in a few minutes reflection.
If everyone would like to come around this side of the park, and we'll lay the wreaths just down here. Media, if you want to sort of set up here. Place it around the thing.
Yeah. Are we ready? Yes. Are we ready? Yes. Okay, let's go. I can fill it up though.
Fantastic. You're doing a great job. Lovely.
Thank you. Please, let's help plant the tree. Bernard, let's give you a shovel.
I may not be very good at praying, but I do pray that the current MP for Holborn and St Pancras doesn't decide to declare CND a terrorist organisation and prescribe us. So I hope you'll all be here next year. Please go ahead and help with the planting.
Phil, would you help? Thank you. Shovel, people. Thank you very much, yes.
We'll now do the flowers, laying of the wreaths. Sorry, Hannah.
Yes?
We do the laying of the wreath, and then we'll...
No,
then-
just plant the tree and then the wreath. Right, otherwise we get the
Okay,
light all
yeah.
over the wreaths.
Pass it on.
Thank you, Reverend. Thank you very much to all the volunteers who helped to plant the tree. I think that memory will stay with us every time we return to this beautiful spot. Thank you to Camden Council for providing and planting the tree. I'm sure that they will ensure it is properly positioned. Thank you also to Bernard Miller. We will now hear from our invited speakers, the first of which is Emma Dent-Code. Emma has been a Kensington councillor since 2006 and continues in that role. Emma was also the MP for Kensington in 2017 to 19. Emma is, of course, a long-time opponent of nuclear weapons and is a Vice President of London CND. Thank you, Emma.
Tasquete Kure! Help, if you please. We recognize several of these houses as the homes of friends, but because of the fire, it is too late to help. When we reach Sakai Bridge, we see that the whole community on the opposite side of the river is a sheet of fire. Listen, everybody, we dare not cross here, so why don't we take refuge in Asano Park over there instead? When we reach the park, people are pouring into it and continue to do so all day long. The park was far enough away from the explosion that its bamboos, pines, laurel and maples are still alive. And so this green place proves very inviting for refugees. But it is hard to know where is the safest place. So we walk farther along the river and settle down in some underbrush. The silence in this bamboo grove, where there are hundreds of gruesomely wounded suffering together, is one of the most dreadful phenomena of my whole experience. To distinguish the living from the dead is not easy, for most of the people are lying still, with their eyes open. No one weeps. No one complains. None of the many who die do so noisily. Not even the children cry. Very few people even speak. When I give water to some whose faces have been almost blotted out by flesh burns, they take their share, then raise themselves a little and bow to me in thanks. Early in the evening, look! We see a Japanese naval launch moving slowly up the river. It stops opposite the park. A young officer stands up in the launch and shouts through a megaphone, "Be patient. A naval hospital ship is coming to take care of you." This promise of medical help cheers the people in the park tremendously. Families settle down for the night with the assurance that a doctor will be coming, while I, feeling weak and exhausted, lie down and, before falling fast asleep, say the Lord's Prayer and the Hail Mary to myself. It's a hot night, and it seems even hotter because of the fires against the sky. Next morning, August 7th, it is again hot, and there are now a number of bodies floating in the river. As for the promised naval hospital ship, it has not come. So, the first thing I do is go and fetch water for the wounded in a bottle and a teapot I have borrowed from someone. I've heard that it's possible to get fresh tap water outside the park. Near the entrance, I see an army doctor working. Do you have any medicines? Will you be coming into the park later? The only medicine I have is this iodine, which I am painting over cuts, bruises, burns, everything. Outside the park, I find a tap which is still working, part of the plumbing of a vanished house. So I fill my vessels and return. When I've given the water to the wounded, I make a second trip. On my way back, I get lost. And as I look for my way through the woods, I hear a voice from the underbrush asking, "Have you anything to drink?" I see a uniform, thinking there is just one soldier. I approach with the water, but when I penetrate the bushes, I see there are about 20 men, and that they are all in the same nightmarish state. Their faces have been wholly burnt. Their eye sockets are hollow, and their mouths are mere swollen, pus-covered wounds, which they cannot bear to stretch enough to admit the spout of the teapot. So, I get a large piece of grass, draw out the stem so as to make a straw, and give them all water to drink that way. One of them says, "I can't see anything." There's a doctor at the entrance to the park. He's busy now, but he will come soon and fix your eyes, I hope. I fill the containers with water a third time and go back to the riverbank. I'm feeling very thirsty myself in the dreadful heat, but I'm too tired to go for water again. A little before noon, I see a Japanese woman handing something out. Soon she comes to me and says, "These are tea leaves. Chew them, young man, and you won't feel so thirsty." For weeks, I have been feeling oppressed by the hatred of foreigners that the Japanese have increasingly been showing. I've been uneasy even with my Japanese friends. But this stranger's gesture and gentleness towards me, arigato gozaimasu, makes me suddenly want to cry.
Thank you for that very moving performance, Michael. Next, we will have a reading from Jan Wolfe. Jan is a playwright, fiction writer, reviewer, and activist. Her fourth play, Blood, Gold and Oil, was performed at 2 London theatres for the 20th anniversary of the invasion of Iraq. She has published 2 books of short stories, Fugues on a Funny Bone and Stormlight. Her themes are self-discovery and people up against it.
Thank you so much, and thank you for asking me to read at this very important occasion. I'm going to read to you the second part of a short story set in a beautiful idyllic seaside town of Sidmouth in Devon, where every year they have a folk festival, but they also had CND's 60th birthday celebration a few years ago. And there will be an event there today in Sidmouth, and my piece is called Passing the Baton, and as you might gather, it's about the generational responsibilities of standing up for peace. "It's open microphone time," says a hen-haired woman in a green linen dress. "Nan, it's open mic," corrects a teenage girl in shorts and t-shirt. "Sorry, darling, open mic," replies her grandmother, who continues. 73 years ago today, August the 6th, 1945, the day I was born, the Americans dropped an atomic bomb called Little Boy on Hiroshima. 2 days later, a second bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. 380,000 people were killed. The facts hang in the air like ghouls. And now my granddaughter will read something written by one of the survivors of Hiroshima, she says, handing her granddaughter the mic. The girl takes it in her right hand like a baton, a piece of paper in her left. She is nervous, yet her voice is clear and strong as she reads. "Through a darkness like the bottom of hell, I could hear the voices of the other students calling for their mothers. I could barely sense the fact that the students seemed to be running away from that place. At the base of the bridge, inside a big cistern that had been dug out there, was a mother, weeping and holding above her head a naked baby that was burned bright red all over its body. And another mother was crying and sobbing as she gave her burned breast to her baby. In the cistern, the students stood with only their heads above the water and their two hands, which they clasped as they imploringly cried and screamed, calling their parents. But every single person who passed was wounded, all of them, and there was no one to turn to for help. The singed hair on people's heads was frizzed up and whitish and covered with dust. From their appearance, you wouldn't believe that they were human creatures of this world. The girl steps back into the silence that she has created. Her grandmother's hand is out for the mic, but the girl holds tight, feeling steeped in her responsibilities, feeling steeped in the knowledge that this reading has given her. And then a breeze, as if an open door, an oven door has opened, carries sounds from the beach. The hawing of gulls, kids running into the sea, and a lone mother's voice. Put some cream on, sweetheart. You don't want to get burned. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jan. Our final cultural contribution will be from Hugh Goodacre. Hugh is a university lecturer, trade unionist and a musician, and Hugh will sing Bob Dylan's Masters of War.
Come, you masters of war, you that build the big guns, you that build the death planes, you that build all the bombs, you that hide behind walls, you that hide behind desks. I just want you to know I can see through your masks. You have never done nothing but build to destroy. You play with my world like it's your little toy. You put a gun in my hand, then you hide from my eyes, and you turn and run farther when the fast bullets fly. Like Judas of old, you lie and deceive. A world war may be won, you want me to believe, but I see through your lies, and I see through your brain, like I see through the water that runs down my drain. You fasten all the triggers for the others to fire, then you sit back and watch while the death count gets higher. You hide in your mansion while the young people's blood flows out of their bodies and is buried in the mud. You've thrown the worst fear that can ever be hurled. Fear to bring children into the world, for threatening my baby, unborn and unnamed. You ain't worth the blood that runs in your veins. Well, how much do I know to talk out of turn? You may say that I'm young, you might say I'm unlearned, but there's one thing I know, and I'm younger than you, that even Jesus would never forget what you did. Let me ask you one question. Is your money that good? Will it buy you forgiveness? Do you think that it could? I think you will find when your death takes its toll, all the money you've made will never buy back your soul.
will come soon. I'll follow your casket on a pale afternoon. I'll watch while you're lowered down to your deathbed, and I'll stand on your grave till I'm sure that you're dead.
Thank you, Hugh. Before we end today, we have a short announcement from Shigeo Kobayashi from Japanese Against Nuclear on Nagasaki Day.
Thank you for announcement. I am Shigeo Kobayashi, and I represent small group called Japanese Against Nuclear UK. Being a Japanese, today's presence of you here really give me some strength and courage. This should happen nationwide and also internationally, because time we face now is a nuclear war. It might happen anytime soon, it might not happen, but EU countries led by Macron and Stammer as well are willing to have nuclear weapons in their own country, whether it's their own or borrowed by United States. It is sad current situation we face. And gathering like that, like this, remind me that nuclear weapons never decreased or never gone away. It stayed in big country like America and Russia, and they hold more than 80% of nuclear weapons in the world. And against background of this, Trump behaves really like a crazy man. Wherever he goes, he shows his power, and he plays a game by words, which also puzzles us, particularly Japanese people, and the current Prime Minister of Japan are really on the point of disappearing, and he cannot really protect Japan or anybody. He made a short speech at the Hiroshima Peace Conference, but it was rather sort of short and very, very disappointing speech compared with Hiroshima mayor's peace declaration. That really helped to feel encouragement for many hibakusha. And the hibakusha in Japan are, of course, honored by having Nobel Peace Prize end of last year. And that gave great courage and strength for them. However, number of hibakusha is decreasing very quickly. And within, say, 10 years or so, it will be so minimum number of hibakusha. Their average age is 86. And the people are slowly disappearing. However, I hope younger generation, and including members like you here today, will carry on the torch to say raise voices against nuclear weapons, and also same tone nuclear energy, nuclear power, which is bringing catastrophic result in Japan and all over the world wherever nuclear power exists. Nuclear power stations or plants are like very expensive executive flats or apartment without toilet. They forgot to build system to release waste out of these plants. And it's all over the world. It is contaminating ocean, air, and so on. So let's hope we survive even for next year. Let's hope. And I wish to say good luck to Michael Mears, who is visiting Japan in September, showing his own play in bilingual situation. And I hope many Japanese people will look at it and get some kind of reflection what the situation we are in. Anyway, my announcement is that on Saturday, Nagasaki Day, there are two events I am concerned to tell you, which is, one is at a friend's house nearby here in the afternoon from 12 to 4 o'clock. There will be gathering organized by Essex CND, and the film they are showing is Silent Fallout. This story tells about how much radiation in America itself got it through these so many testing they had weapons. Every time they did it, fallout happened, but no report is mentioned, and many people are radiated under it, and many people died or dying. That is one announcement. Next one is we organize peace walk from Westminster Cathedral from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. It's a sort of a 5 miles walk, so whoever can do that walk, join the group.
5 miles.
About 5 miles?
No.
10 miles?
Much less.
Shorter.
1 hour walk.
Yeah, it is 1 hour walk. So beg your pardon if it's not 5 miles. Somebody checking anyway. After the walk, from around 7 to say 8:30 or 9 o'clock, we have a short ceremony remembering Nagasaki Day, what happened and what's happening. So it is a short kind of multi-faith gathering, and many different religious leaders will come to give us speech and prayers. So that is, and also before starting peace walk, there is Pax Christi ecumenical service and interfaith peace walk. That takes place 5 to 6 before peace walk. And that, of course, remembering the anniversary of the death of blessed Franz Jägerstätter, who was executed in 1943 on 9th of August. He refused to serve as a soldier in Hitler's army or military service and he was beheaded because of that. And so we also remember him and all other conscientious objectors who followed their conscience to fight against war, fight against killing people. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shigeo. We have two more incredibly brief announcements, and after that we are going to sing together with raised voices, as is our tradition. First, Sally Spears from Finchley CND, and about an event happening this evening.
So I'd like to invite you this evening, if you can make it up to East Finchley. Finchley CND is working with the Phoenix Cinema. We are showing Dr. Strangelove. We will have a silence led by Mrs. Yuki Johnson, who is a lay chaplain to the Japanese community in Edmonton Episcopal area. We then have a question and answer session with someone from Lakenheath, Alliance for Peace, and also Kate Hudson, who a name I'm sure you'll all know. We've sold a lot of tickets, so if you would like to come, I do suggest that you get online straight away and buy your ticket. I think there are probably only about 20 tickets left, but do come, we'd love to see you.
Thank you so much, Sally. An announcement now from Ruth, who is here, Ruth Kettle-Frisbee, representing CND Essex.
Hi everybody, thank you to Shigeo for talking about our event, which is on Nagasaki Day on Saturday. So join CND Essex on the 80th anniversary